Subscribe and click the notification bell to never miss another scary story. Today, I've got a very creepy true story from a Native American about a certain creepy creature that is very good at mimicking his loved ones' voices. Stay tuned later today for a full-sized episode on 10 real paranormal pets stories. And be sure to check out the new darknessprevails.org website to share your story today. Skinwalker in Sica Hollow by Native Legends. I am 21 years old and legally blind. I also live in the northeast corner of South Dakota on a reservation. I am of Sioux heritage, and I grew up with all the stories of my people. This particular story that I experienced took place when I was 21. In fact, it was on my 21st birthday. The day started like any other. My brother, his girlfriend, and a couple of our friends went to Fargo, North Dakota to go to the mall. We had spent a couple of hours there and were now ready to make our way back. My brother decided to give me one of my birthday gifts. Then we stopped at one last store and bought something. We headed back to our town and made a quick stop at our Jesus tree dealer's house, if you know what I mean. Once we packed back into the car, we were arguing about where to go smoke when I blurted out Sica Hollow, which actually translates to bad ground. I, my brother, and two of our friends agreed, but my brother's girlfriend was saying no. Despite her protest, we went anyway. As we headed out to Sica Hollow, a car began following us. We were starting to get worried. My brother didn't have a driver's license, and we had an ounce in the car, so we weren't sure if this was a cop or not. Yet the faster we went, the faster the car was going. When we pulled into the parking lot of the hollow, my brother's girl said that her sister was following us, so we all finally felt relieved. We started walking along the trails of the hollow. These trails go all over the place. As we were walking and talking, I think I was the only one who noticed that there was a sound of branches snapping and footsteps on the hill next to us. It sounded like another person, but not part of our group. I looked around, wondering why someone was up there in the brush. It was at that time that I realized that I forgot my glasses in the car. I may be legally blind, but it doesn't mean I can't see. It just means I probably shouldn't be driving. In that brief moment of realizing my glasses were gone and that someone was out there with us in the woods, I looked back up and saw that my friends were gone. I remember thinking, what the heck? Why did they leave me like that? Suddenly, I heard a thud, like someone jumping onto the ground. I quickly turned around and already knew that someone was behind me. I saw the silhouette and asked, "What's up, cousin?" Not entirely sure who it was, but my greeting was met with an unholy scream. Goosebumps flooded over my body. I began to feel beads of sweat forming on my skin. This was no person on the trail with me. This was something else entirely, and at that moment I think I knew what it was. That's why I pulled out a cigarette, unused, and ripped the tobacco from it, sprinkling it on the ground in front of me. I knew to do this from the stories I'd been told when I was younger. "What do you want with me, spirit?" I managed to say with a stutter. "You have no reason to be here." It took a few steps closer to me. I could hear sickening popping sounds coming from its mouth and limbs, as if the thing's body was imperfect and constantly morphing. Then, in a voice that was almost like my grandma's, it spoke to me. It spoke to me with human words. "Go home." The most disturbing part about hearing that was the fact that my grandma had been dead for years. There's something sickening about hearing a voice that makes you warm inside and nostalgic, used by something evil. I panic. I fumbled and turned around, running right into my brother. "Whoa, man," he said to me. I looked back in the direction where that thing had been. The two of us were alone now. Whatever had been on the trail with me had disappeared. We met back up with the others, and before I could explain to them what had happened to me, we all heard this god-awful scream. We began to hike back down to the car, no longer wanting to smoke. There was just something wrong, terribly wrong, about that place. But when we get back to the car, I guess the group was mostly feeling safe. We decide to roll down the windows and smoke a bit right there, passing around a bottle of liquor. I didn't feel very good about the situation, so I didn't participate. After an hour or so, it was beginning to get dark. Suddenly, one of my friends begins freaking out in her seat. "What is that?" she screams, pointing to a trail we had come from earlier. There it was. I could see it more clearly now with my glasses on, even though it was darker out. An all too thin, not entirely human-looking thing, covered in fur. I was moments away from screaming when the creature went down on all fours and in a sickening insect-like motion, crawled right up against the car. It happened so fast, it was almost like it teleported from the head of the trail to right outside the car doors. Then we all were able to scream. We burned rubber down the road, heading home. All the while, that thing is chasing the back of the car, screaming like someone in pain. When I made it back home, I burned sage around the house, hoping that the spirit we angered would not follow us there. The Sioux have many disturbing legends, and quite often, these legends become reality. And for those of you who do believe, never think that you'll smell the rotting meat smell first, or that the woods will go silent before you see a skinwalker. There are many different ways to encounter one, and sometimes there will be no warning.